It's December 16th, and the Mets are still in search for their next ace alongside Kodai Senga for the 2025 rotation and beyond. In this video, we're talking about one team that could be the perfect trade partner for David Stearns and the Mets front office to get the job done. Let's get into it. All right, Mets fans, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. It's your boy CP. In this video, we are talking about the pitching aspect of this offseason and the continued search for a top line starter to pair with Kodai Senga in this rotation, as well as the likes of David Peterson, Frankie Montas, and Clay Holmes. Before we get into this video, make sure to hit those thumbs up buttons on this video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, and comment your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section about this one particular name. And this name is right-handed pitcher from the Seattle Mariners, Luis Castillo. New reports have been coming out that there are a plethora of teams out there bidding and trying to acquire Luis Castillo for their rotations for 2025 and beyond. And the New York Mets are reportedly one of those teams interested. As you see, the last 3 years of sample size worth of Luis Castillo in a Mariners uniform after he was traded there and signed an extension after coming over from the Cincinnati Reds organization. He has been nothing but consistent, but there are some things in his game that I would like to point out as it pertains to some of these measurements that we'll see on your screen. Now, the first thing to get out of the way for Luis Castillo is the contract, which could be advantageous for the Mets to take on and for the Seattle Mariners to go ahead and get rid of in their continued pursuit of offensive help. And that could be done in both free agency for them and also the prospect return that they get in a hypothetical trade for Luis Castillo. And we'll get into the one name that could headline this trade for the New York Mets in what they would send in return for the services of this right-handed ace. Now, 2024 was a little bit of a down year to the standards of Luis Castillo, posting a 3.64 ERA, 24.3 strikeout percentage, as well as a 6.5 walk percentage in his body of work in 2024. And you see that how that compares to the 2022 and 2023 metrics. He was an all-star in 2023 while he posted a 3.34 ERA. And you see the walk percentage was slightly higher in that year, as was the strikeout percentage. Something that we have been noticing as a trend from 2023 to 2024 was a decrease in strikeout percentage, as well as a decrease in walk percentage as well. Nothing alarming as of yet, but when you go ahead and look further into the values of his arsenal, as we'll get into in the next slide, the types of pitches that he throws, you will see a decrease in trend in his fastball velocity, which could be a little bit alarming. Now, again, Luis Castillo did sign that extension with Seattle. He has 3 more years left on his deal, and the AAV for the next 3 years would be $24.15 million. He also has a vesting option year after that third year, which he could hit if he hits a plethora of incentives. I don't quite know what those incentives are. I didn't do too much digging in that category, but the important thing to realize is that given the age and given the need for a top line starter, the Mets could go ahead and solve that problem for the next 3 seasons while taking on a team friendlier deal per season in terms of the payroll hit, as we see multiple starters going for this rate and beyond AAV. You see Max Fried, Sean Manaea's in line for $25+ million. This would be an absolute steal considering the body of work that Luis Castillo has posted in his career thus far, both in Cincinnati and in Seattle. Now, what would it take for the New York Mets to acquire Luis Castillo is a completely different topic. And before we get into the name of Luis Angel Acuna and how he could solve so many problems for the Seattle Mariners, let's take a look at what Luis Castillo possesses in his arsenal. He throws the four-seam fastball for just over 45% of the time in 2024. A nice tight breaking slider right after that as well at 22.4%. Sinking fastball as his tertiary pitch. And to round things out, he throws a changeup for 14.3% of the time. Now, Mets fans, this is going to cost prospect capital in return. Not wanting to part ways with in this Mets fan base is Luis Angel Acuna. But quite simple, the Seattle Mariners are going to need a second baseman in return for Luis Castillo. And again, they are going to be willing to part ways because their rotation is that much talented. You have Brian Wu, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, and it doesn't stop there. So if I had to guess, while this was speculation all the way up until this point, and I was wary of the fact that the Mariners would actually trade Luis Castillo this offseason, this seems as a realistic of a possibility as ever before. Now, Luis Angel Acuna would not be the only one going over in this deal. I am simply forecasting him being the headliner. And we are in a tough situation right now where Luis Angel Acuna is MLB ready. We saw that for a spurt of the tail end of the last season while Francisco Lindor was dealing with the back injury, and he performed absolutely well with the bat and also the glove. But as we've mentioned time and time again on all of our videos and streams, it's going to take giving to get, Mets fans. And if we are going to continue to state that we need an ace, this would be the perfect route to go down because, again, Corbin Burnes, we haven't heard much smoke other than the fact that he could be willing to take a short-term deal, high AAV, which would play right into the Mets' hands. But until that remains or opens up to be a fact, the trade route possibility is the best option for David Stearns to work his magic. Now, it's not only limited to Luis Castillo. In the previous video, I talked about Framber Valdez from the Houston Astros following the Kyle Tucker trade to the Cubs. You have Jesus Luzardo of the Marlins, a little bit less solidified, but also has very good upside. We've talked about Jared Jones from the Pirates briefly, and clearly Garrett Crochet and the trade package that it would have taken for the Mets to acquire him was not going to work in the mind of David Stearns. So this could be the most perfect median option in terms of prospect return as well as the fit on the top end of the rotation for the New York Mets that we could possibly come up with here. And he would not be a rental. This is the one avenue outside of the actual arsenal and statistical outcomes that we've seen. This is the one advantage that Luis Castillo has in my mind over Framber Valdez, even though I'd rather have Framber Valdez. I've been on record saying that this is the one advantage that he possesses is the controllability. 3 seasons, perhaps even 4, compared to Framber Valdez's just 1 before you would need to extend him. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think, Mets fans? Luis Castillo, a trade, good thing or a bad thing? And if it took Luis Angel Acuna being the primary prospect in return, would you be willing to do that? Let me know in the comment section down below. Spam those thumbs up buttons on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Mets offseason content. Hope you all enjoyed. It's your boy CP. See you all next time. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel. Thank you.